Okay, well, it appears that the stream is up and running, so hello everyone, and welcome to the Nurburgring Sudschleife. I hope you can all hear me okay. Please put in the chat if you can. But we're here for the final round of the SimRacingOnline GT Legends Classic Sports Car Racing Championship. This is, of course, the Nurburgring Sudschleife, the 1967 mod of the track, and as I said, we're hosting the final of this championship for GT cars from the late 1960s. So, who are our contenders for the championship? Well, I'm not actually sure if there's going to be a championship fight today. Tim Muttram is 38 points ahead of Laurent Lons in second place, and for Lons to even have a chance of winning the championship, he needs he needs 23 drivers or more to start this race, and I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not sure how many drivers are in the session right now, but if it's 22 or less when the race actually goes to begin, then the championship is over before the race has even begun. The fight for second in the championship, though, is still wide open. We have Laurent Lons on 201 points, ahead of Phil Brown, who has 193. And those are the two drivers who are fighting for P2 in the championship. P3 is also technically still open between Brown and Ricciardi, but I think that's another one where it depends on how many people are actually here. So really, the main fight that we're going to be focusing on today is Lons versus Brown for second in the championship, with Brown, of course, having a lot of ground to make up after he missed a round of the championship. Brown is the most decorated driver on the grid in terms of this series. He's got 3 wins out of the 6 races that we've done so far this year, but because of that one round that he missed, he hasn't had an opportunity to fight for the championship. We will be getting you some better camera views as the qualifying session progresses, although this one is the only one I really can do at the minute. Without escaping to the main menu, since no one has actually set a qualifying time yet. But after these 15 minutes of quali, 9.5 minutes to go now, we will see what the full grid order will be. And actually, when someone crosses the start-finish line, I'd love to take you for a ride of this Nurburgring Sudschleife circuit as well, since it's one that has sadly been lost to time. It was last used in, I think, the 1980s. Yeah, it was destroyed in the early 1980s, but was a historical part of the track back in the 70s and earlier. Let's have a look at Phil Brown. Let's have a look on board, in fact, his Porsche 906 as he takes us around this Nurburgring Sudschleife circuit. We've just been past the start on Zielgerade, I think. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that wrong, which of course means start and finish. Past the Sudkere, where you would turn off if you were doing the Nordschleife only, and now we're through to Brankenkopf, heading down to Aschenslag, which sounds like it should be a very rude word, but anyway, not entirely sure what that means. Through past Seifgen, and I think we're almost to Boxberg and then Mullenbach. That may have been Mullenbach that we just... No, I don't think that was Mullenbach we've just been through. Very hard to tell from this view, and it's a circuit that I haven't commentated at before, so my apologies if I'm getting anything wrong. Not sure if we're heading up the... If you look at the circuit map, there's a kind of bit that heads up again towards a point. I'll be able to tell you when we get to that bit, but anyway... Phil Brown currently topping the times, 2:45.848, so that shows you that it is a fairly long circuit. So I'm pretty sure that was... I'm fairly sure... No, never mind. I'm going to stop trying to work out where I am on track because I have literally no idea. But anyway, Laurent Lons puts the car second. Look at the hedges on either side. Very, very narrow part of the circuit this is. Through the forest. Now is this, I think this is Schatterkopf, which is a tight right hand hairpin before you head up through a long left, and then onto the straight opposite the Startenzielgerade, which is known as Gegengerade. I'll be calling it the back straight for the purpose of not offending any German speakers who may know how to pronounce that better than I do. And then the final sector of the course has you flying through a 90 left, then the Nordkere, which flings you back 180 degrees towards the start-finish straight. And that is a lap of the Nurburgring Sudschleife, the classic circuit, opposing the Nordschleife. And that lap for Phil Brown was pretty quick, 2:44.622, and he goes for another lap. That's 1.5 seconds faster than anyone else so far, which is pretty impressive, even though this is quite a long circuit. And let's look at some of the other drivers in the top few positions, shall we? This is Davide Ricciardi in his De Tomaso Pantera. Now Ricciardi is 4th in the championship, and someone's just jumped up to 4th. That's James Bird. Now I don't remember James Bird being quite that competitive in the previous round, so that is good. A good attempt from him there. Anyway, as I was saying, Davide Ricciardi in the De Tomaso Pantera. 3 podiums so far this season and 1 victory. He got his victory at, let me see if I can find it quickly before he finishes this lap. Believe he got his victory not last time out. Was it at Donington, maybe? No, that was Tim Muttram. Sorry, you'd expect me to know this since I've been commentating on this series since the start, but I did miss 2 rounds, so in my defence, I may have got thrown off a bit by that. I think it was actually the very first round at Highlands. Yeah, that was... so Ricciardi has not won since the first round of the championship back on March the 19th. And he will be hoping to improve on that today. Tim Muttram has now jumped up into 2nd in the order. Not quite within a second of Brown though, so Brown definitely looking like the driver to beat here. And remember, the Porsche tends to have an advantage in the race since you can go the full way without stopping. There is definitely a difference between the various cars in this league. Of course, we have the Porsche, as driven by Phil Brown, who appears to have either just passed a Shelby Daytona or is fighting with one, but anyway. Tim Muttram has a BMW, one of the biggest cars, which is always very, very quick on acceleration, and look at how he slides it out. That's just Tim Muttram's driving style. Paul Anstey here is the Daytona Shelby Coupe that we just saw following Tim Brown. Sorry, Phil Brown. And Paul Anstey has been quick this season, but a little bit inconsistent. He's scored 1 podium so far, but looking pretty quick here at the Sudschleife. Ricciardi now goes up to 2nd position. Still not quite within a second of Brown though. It's really looking like Brown's session and race to lose so far. Let's have a look at some of the other cars. Lorenzo Galuzzi has a Ferrari. Now John Van der Geest also has a Ferrari, and he was complaining before the start of this round that the suspension feels like jelly, and whenever you hit a curb in this Ferrari, you really have to be careful not to get flung around. Certainly hasn't appeared to be the most competitive car all season, but you certainly can wrangle a good result out of it if you're careful. Lorenzo, oh sorry, that was me accidentally hitting my desk. Lorenzo Galuzzi, very nice livery on that Ferrari, gold wheels, you'll notice as he goes past, that looks great. There's another Porsche 908, just like the one that the lead is driving, very flat, very small. There are 2 other cars in this league which we haven't seen yet, as Paul Upham has a spin, and that is at the... well, that's just past the... so that's at turn 1 there, that Upham's been off. This one, Sid Drake has a Nissan Skyline. Now the Nissan Skyline, of course, is a name that you'll recognise mainly from the 90s, from the later models of Skyline, such as the R32 and the R33, but this is one of the earlier models of Skyline. and it's actually known as the Nissan GTR 2000, so I'm not sure if it actually does have Skyline in its name. Tim Muttram now jumps up to 3rd place as we're speaking. The Skyline has appeared to be the least competitive car, except for the Corvette, which was abandoned earlier in the season. But it appeared relatively quick at Highlands, which gave us all a lot of hope about it, but since then, just no results have gone the way of the Skyline. Now, there is one more. Here we go. Here's the final car that is with us today. It's another Porsche. It's the 911 RSR, meaning we have 2 types of Porsche on the grid. And this car looks brilliant and sounds brilliant, but hasn't been racing with us since the start of the championship, and hasn't really had that many good results in the recent rounds. Then again, I think one came 6th last time out. No, there was... No, actually, never mind. I think one was running well last time out, and then maybe had an incident or something. But I'm pretty sure at the Nurburgring Sudschleife there was a Porsche that came, 6th, due to Morris. Now, Morris, not sure if he's here today. Oh, he's registered as being 19th and having not set a lap yet, so I'm not sure if he is actually going to race. Again, we will have to see. So, the checkered flag is about to come up. Let's have a look at some of our leaders. Here's Tim Muttram, absolutely flying through the hedges in his BMW. Getting the car positioned for the final sector of the course, running it right to the outside. Tim Muttram has always been one of the most attacking and brilliant drivers when it comes to car control that we have with SimRacingOnline. It's always an absolute pleasure to watch him race. I say this every single time, and he's showing us again just why that is. Checkered flag comes out now. Another thing to note is that Lons and Muttram have both managed to get themselves within a second of Brown, but no one has been able to quite touch him yet. However, Tim Muttram will be coming up towards the final sector, final couple of corners, and I can't see what his sector times are, but it's looking like a quick one. Look at that! Through the banked. Oh, and there's a Nissan that always gets in his way there. Final few corners are banked, meaning you can do things like that. Muttram, I think, tagged the arm carrier slightly with his rear left wheel, but it doesn't appear to have phased him across the line, and he does improve, but he stays P3. Laurent Lons appears to have stopped, so he's not going to improve. Phil Brown doesn't need to improve. What about Paul Anstey? He's flying in the Shelby. It is an absolute pleasure to watch cars racing through the hedges. It reminds me of classic time trial racing. That is brilliant. Through the Ardennes Forest. Not Ardennes Forest, that's in Belgium. Actually, no, I think it might also be the Ardennes Forest. No, the Black Forest. Okay, sorry, my apologies. Under the bridge. And towards the end of the track, just a few more corners to go for Paul Anstey. And he, I think, will be our last driver to set a time. I'm not sure if there's anyone behind him that's still on a flying lap, but even so, Paul Anstey, one of the last main contenders. He has 0.4 of a second to find if he wants to get himself into the top 4. Let's see, crosses the line. Whoa, that's a great lap from Paul Anstey. P2, and less than half a second of less than 1.5 seconds of Phil Brown. So actually, Brown's lap was much faster than I gave him credit for. And that's because he set an even quicker lap towards the end of the session, which I missed. My apologies about that, but still, great lap from Paul Anstey as well. That's probably his best lap of the series so far. But an incredible lap from Phil Brown to go 1.271 seconds faster than anyone else in the session. Taking pole place again. Pole position, sorry. Look at that. 2:43.738. Paul Anstey will be starting second in the Shelby, and it's Laurent Lund, Tim Muttram, Davide Ricciardi, James Bird, Lorenzo Galuzzi, Vasilis Doumanas, Jari Lakkinen, Jos Ergos, the top 10. And it's Mark Johnson, Sid Drake, Paul Upham, John Van der Kies, Glyn Jones, Kimi Martikainen and Klaus Jorgensen, with a possibility of Tudor Morris and Bill Grucock. However, that's only 19 drivers, meaning that now we can officially announce, or unofficially, sorry, but pretty much announce that the Drivers' Championship goes the way of Tim Muttram, because 23 drivers would need to start this race for there to be a chance of anyone demoting him mathematically, and that means that he is our Drivers' Champion for this series, so well done to him. It's a shame we had a bit of an anticlimactic end. It's a shame they weren't able to fight it out on track, but still, we have a race coming up, and I'm sure that Tim Muttram is about to try to prove to us why he deserves this championship. Also, Phil Brown, you really have to say it's his race to lose here. He's won more races than anyone else this season, and wow, that's a packed grid. That's really, really packed. This is going to be a tight start. Everyone needs to be so careful. That's really tight. We're going 4 wide in place. Look at that. We're going 4 wide in places in this pack. This is going to be a really close start. Well, I wish everyone the best of luck. But what I was saying was Phil Brown, it's pretty much his race to lose, especially if he can get away in front, because that Porsche, we know it can go the full way without making a pit stop. It has done it every other round this season. Now you'll also notice the white Porsche there of Caitlin Penny, and that car is not starting the race because that's me. So I will be getting my car off the grid as soon as it starts. But anyway, here come the lights, and we are preparing to go at the Nurburgring Sudschleife for the final time this season. It is go in the GT Legends Classic Sports Car Racing Championship. Now off they fly, and indeed the 2 cars at the back did get going despite not setting a qualifying lap. Now it looks to me as if Tim Muttram's going to get the lead at the start. Whoa, one of the Pantera is getting wildly out of control. That may have been Ricciardi, although it looks to be too far back for him. And now as they all head down to turn 1, we will be able to see, and it looks to me as if there's a pile-up going on. Doumanas is involved, Jones is involved as well. A couple of cars really, really slow, some of them facing backwards. Oh my word! And it's carnage, it's mayhem, look at that! On the exit, cars are flying over the barrier. We've got one up in the air, missing some of its goodness, and it's spinning around in the mid-pack. Phil Brown is involved! The pole sitter's involved! Jari Lakkinen's involved! Davide Ricciardi's involved as well. He was going for a potential 3rd in the championship. Absolute chaos on the first lap of the race. Phil Brown has heavy damage. Davide Ricciardi's wheels are pointing in completely the wrong direction. Laurent Lund leads the race. Paul Anstey is 2nd, and that is exactly why it was such a dramatic... And Brown just has so much damage, he can't get the car going. He's still stuck under the bridge. This may be race over as soon as it started for Phil Brown. That is one of the most chaotic starts I've ever seen to a race. Now Laurent Lund and Paul Anstey are fighting it out for the lead. Jos Ergos is up to 3rd place, and he started, I think, 10th. Bird passing... Oh, and Grucock's backwards. We got even more carnage on the first lap. Bill Grucock's in the wall. He was running in the top 10. Does everyone miss him? It seems to me as if everyone will. What an opening lap this has been so far. We're not going to know who's in what position. Galuzzi now passes John. What's happening to Johnson? He's losing pace as well. Down to 7th, and we're not even half the way through the first lap yet. Now these two have cleared off. They're ahead of everyone else just because they managed to keep out of all of the carnage. And the reason I think that was so bad is because it happened right at the front of the pack, and as a result, absolutely no one could avoid them. Just had a question from a friend of mine saying why aren't we running the full Nordschleife, and that is because we actually ran the full Nordschleife earlier this series. It was round 4 of the championship, although sadly it wasn't shown on YouTube because I was having issues with my internet that day. But yeah, what an absolute, oh, and look at that! Oh, and that's Tudor Morris. Sorry, I thought I was still looking at the lead there. Morris, was rubbing the hedges, and he might be about to get passed by Klaus Jorgensen. That's for 13th position, but also we've had Muttram and Galuzzi. That's Muttram around the outside of Galuzzi. And Muttram, I think, got held up in the opening incident as well. Now, there's no telling how many of these drivers have damage, or how much damage they have. But I'm sure it's plenty of them. Because that first, I would be surprised if anyone got through the first couple of corners without contact. Goodness me. James Bird into the pits in his Shelby, taking a drive-through. Now, I'm not sure whether he repaired any damage there, or whether he was taking a drive-through for maybe a jump start or something. Now, Davide Ricciardi is still in the race, but look how, yeah, he's got very heavy damage. He's just trying to recover to get it back to the pits. Phil Brown is doing the same. Now actually Phil Brown, now what he's done is he's been back to the pits and he's been out again. So he has had to effectively start the race right back from the very beginning, as it would have discounted that lap. So he's just started the race officially, but he is still in the race. Won't be winning it like I thought he might. Definitely Ricciardi going very fast for his damage there. Does Lackinen have damage? Probably. Klaus Jorgensen's just been off again in one of the Porsches. Does he have damage? Not that much. About to get passed by Sid Drake. That's for 15th place. Drake goes through fairly simply. Nicely done. Actually, I think Drake ran wide there, and there's more contact. And Drake noses into the wall, and also off goes Lackinen. Now, what's happening here? Galuzzi's lost 2 places. Johnson's gone up. Martikainen's gone up. Galuzzi down at 2P9. Oh, and there's going to be more contact there, is there? Not quite. Looked like there might be. Ricciardi finally made it back to the pits, by the way. Now, I'm not sure why I've still got yellow flags at the top of the screen. Really, everything should have been cleared by now, and I don't see anyone stopped on track. But anyway, it seems that we have 19 cars in this race. Not the number that that Lons was looking for in terms of his championship fight. Now he's fighting to stay second in the championship, but with Phil Brown so far down in the order, that means that Lons is pretty much confirmed second in the championship. Now remember, he hasn't won at all this season, has Laurent Lons. So if he manages to, and Davide Ricciardi disconnects, so he's out, I'm afraid. But if Lons wins this race, that would be a fantastic way to round off the championship. And it would give him second place as well. He came into this round knowing that he wasn't going to win the championship, so this was probably about the best he could hope for. Now he went slightly wide out of turn 1 there. Set him up badly for turn 2. And now Anstey is within half a second of him again. However, still, Anstey really looking fast here. Definitely his most competitive track of the season so far. Paul Anstey finished on the podium once, but aside from that, no real notable results. He's 5th in the championship, probably going to move up to 4th now that Ricciardi's out. All depends on where he finishes. Tudor Morris says just past James Bird. And that is for 12th position. Tim Muttram also up into 5th now. So Muttram back up into the top 5. Ahead of John Van der Geest. Muttram, the confirmed champion as of about 10 minutes ago. And Van der Geest probably didn't have much to say from that. Tim Muttram just so fast at, well, pretty much everywhere. And you can see what Van der Geest means about his front end bouncing about. It really did look like jelly there. Let's ride on board with him for a bit. and see how it looks from on board the Ferrari 365 GTB. Bouncy bouncy on the acceleration. Looks like a lot of fun, to be honest. I'd love to... oh my word, that is bouncy. I'd love to have a single make series with these Ferrari 365 GTBs. Maybe that's something we'll do in the future with SimRacingOnline. Johnson now up into 8th ahead of Galuzzi. Oh, and Johnson now running wide, and so is Jones. So Glyn Jones there running wide. And into the hedge. Almost in sympathy. Saw it all happening in front of him and thought, that looks fun, I'll give it a go. I joke, but it's easy to do. It's amazing how subconsciously you are very much copying the car ahead of you sometimes. Definitely reacting to it anyway. And if the car ahead of you brakes late for a corner, often you're going to brake late too. Thinking, well, if they can do it, I can do that. Or indeed not thinking, just doing it subconsciously. But anyway. We have had 29 different drivers starting races this season in this league. Possibly more, sorry if I'm missing anyone. Actually, Bill Grucock, have we seen him so far this season? No we haven't, so he is our 30th driver in this league. Welcome in to Bill Grucock. Still want to keep watching this this fight for the lead though. Paul Anstey less than half a second ahead, behind Lauren Luns. Hasn't really had an opportunity to get past yet. Now you'd think that his best opportunity would be on the start-finish straight, or the penultimate straight, as Galuzzi repasses Johnson, and Johnson gets he gets a really bad exit, so I think something happened to Johnson there, maybe made a slight error or something, so Glyn Jones now up into 9th position in the Porsche 911 RSR. But as I was saying, you'd think that Anstey's best opportunity would be down the start-finish straight, or indeed the back straight, although that's simply not the case, because the De Tomaso Pantera is just so fast when it comes to top speed. We saw that all the way back at Highlands, where a car would get alongside it coming onto the straight, and then it would just waltz away from them, and by the end of the straight it would be about a second ahead. And that's why the Pantera is so fast here, because on the straighter bits, including this part... oh, as Martikainen's had an incident. Martikainen was 7th, and he's now going to be dropping down to 11th. It's a shame for Martikainen and the Nissan Skyline, because, as I said, and hasn't had that many top 10 finishes so far this season. Phil Brown now has also retired from the race. Of course, he got caught up in that first lap incident and is now out of the race, which is a big shame for him, especially since that means he won't be coming away with many points from this at all, and as a result Paul Anstey will probably jump up to 2nd in the championship in all of this. He is too far back to jump up to 3rd. So I think the championship standings after this race are going to be Muttram, Lons, then Brown, Anstey and Riccardi. So that'll swap Anstey and Riccardi around. Actually, not sure. Can John Van der Geest jump out of Riccardi maybe? I think it's doable. Meanwhile, Bill Grucock now ahead of Johnson. So Johnson's had a torrid couple of laps. He's been dropping back through the order. Seems to be making more mistakes than some of the other guys. I say that with all due respect to him. The great thing about SimRacingOnline is that it's not necessarily about being great or whatever, because you'll always find drivers at your level, whatever level you're at. My apologies. Just trust me, I've had so many rivals that I've gained through SimRacingOnline, who are similar in pace to me, or just slightly better or slightly worse. As Muttram's getting close to Upham here. Not sure why Anstey is suddenly 1.9 seconds behind Lons. That's a bit of a loss of time. Didn't see how that happened. I'm not sure if you did watching the stream while I was looking away, but anyway. Davide Ricciardi says in the YouTube, oh, as Paul Upham has a big crash into the wall. Big hit of the barriers. And he's dropped, oh well, he was running 4th, and now he's got damage, I think, because he's struggling to get that car going. Come on, donut it. Get it going. Don't take out any of the... He's losing so much time here, come on. Well, now would be an opportunity, but I think he's lost the engine. Still got some life in there, I can hear something. He was running 4th, but he's lost a lot of that. Also, Cheetah Morris has had an incident, and he's trying to recover himself. I hope I'm still staying there. I think he still thinks he can get it going, but he's certainly lost 4th place. That's now gone the way of Tim Muttram, and 5th place goes the way of John Van der Geest. Anyway, as I was saying, Davide Ricciardi says, what just happened, Caitlin, lol, in the YouTube chat. I presume you're talking about the first corner incident. Sadly, I can't show you a replay of exactly why that happened, because I don't have that handy, as Cheetah Morris has recovered from his spin and Upham appears to have retired to the pits. But I would love to be able to tell you exactly what happened there and why. I just can't, because to be honest, I have no idea. Just the same as you don't. But anyway, the race continues. Mattia Floriani says, let's go Gallo. I presume that means Galliani, and he's now running in 6th position, doing a really good job in the Ferrari. Now let me see if I can look back on the YouTube stream and see what happened to Upham there, because I was looking away when it first kicked off. Oh wow, he ran slightly wide, got it over the grass bank. Now you've all seen this already. Yeah, slid it sideways, got it over the grass bank, possibly overcorrected it, and then flew sideways into the barrier. That's a big shame for Upham, and it's going to... Well, he's recovered to the race, so he has repaired the car. And he's got going again, but still running... Well, he's now dead last out of the cars and he's going to crash at exactly the same corner! Is that the same corner? Yes, that's exactly where he just went off. And he's gone off again there. Well, I think he was a bit startled by the cars coming through behind him. But still, that's gotta hurt. That's gotta just add insult to injury there. Actually, I don't think he was startled by the cars behind him, because they were a couple of seconds back, but anyway. Davide Ricciardi says, thanks for your great job. Thanks, Davide. Thank you for joining us for every round of this season. It's been great to have you on board, and sorry that it didn't end how you would have liked it to. These things happen in racing so far. To be honest, I'm amazed that we still have 17 drivers in this race, and that we only lost 2, but sadly, it was 2 of the main contenders, 2 of the main fighters who were caught out worst. Shout out to Glyn Jones as well, running 7th. He was last place after turn 1. And from being sensible and braking for the carnage, he was able to make up places and get through to 7th place. So from last to 7th, really, really good. Very, very admirable. Who are the drivers who didn't qualify? I think Cheatham Morris may have been one of them, and Bill Grucock may have been the other. Well, if it was Bill Grucock, he's currently running in 8th place, which is very impressive for him. Just going to double check that, actually. Yeah, indeed, it was Bill Grucock, so from last to 8th. Good job from him as well, and if he can get further up the order, that would be even better. Now look at Tim Muttram attempting to pass Jos Ogos for 3rd place. Ogos leaves the door open, but he'll have the inside line for the next corner. Fends off Muttram for the time being. Muttram goes high, tries to cut back underneath him. Jos Ogos, of course, started off this series in a Chevrolet Corvette, but that car was hugely uncompetitive, so he switched to the Shelby Daytona Coupe, and has obviously had more success in this thing. 9th in the championship so far. and going for his first podium, but holding off Tim Muttram is not an easy task at all. And I'm sure that it won't be easy, but I'm also sure that he's not going to just jump out of the way and let it happen. I think they're approaching a back marker too. Yeah, they are. That's Upham's Ferrari just up the road. So hopefully he sees them coming through. And Muttram takes a look. He goes to the right-hand side and goes through. Josogos had nothing to say about that. Muttram keeps it on the road despite touching the grass gently. And I don't think that Ogos is going to be able to come back at him. This part of the course is just too fast and sweepy. Not sure if sweepy's a word, but now it is. Ogos is going to have a look. And Grukok now... Oh, Johnson's had an incident. Johnson's spinning around. And I was saying earlier how he's got involved in more incidents than other drivers so far today. And there's another one. Down to 12th position there. And that's reminded me of a point I was going to make earlier. Oh, as Martikainen now passes Grukok for 8th place. And it looks like Bird may be about to come through as well. But yeah, the point I was making earlier is that it really doesn't matter how fast you are. You're always going to have competitors in this league, which makes it a very, very fun one. And a very low pressure one as well. You don't have to race for a team, you can enter as a privateer. No pressure at all, just go out and enjoy it. If you want to enter, you can enter any series at any time with SimRacingOnline. Just go to simracingonline.co.uk, go to the championship page and you'll see all of the championships we have running at the time. We have plenty of different types of championship as well, from sports car leagues to open wheel leagues to touring car leagues, including classic sports cars such as these ones that you're watching now. We have races on Assetto Corsa, Assetto Corsa Competizioni, R-Factor 2, R-Factor 1, Project Cars 2, Automobilista, and I'm sure other racing sims to come as well. We've done some on Race 07 in the past as well, and might even do more of those in the future. But anyway, those are the ones that we have available now. Change for 5th, Galuzzi passing Van der Geest. That's Ferrari versus Ferrari. And Galuzzi with the gold wheel rims has gone around the outside by the looks of it. Now can he start to get away from his fellow Ferrari? Or will Van der Geest be able to slipstream him down the start-finish straight here? The Ferrari doesn't appear to be a particularly good car for slipstreaming. I'd say probably the best would be one of the two Porsches. Just a bit brick-like, but anyway. Through turn 1 and turn 2. Slightly touching the wall on the inside, but at a point where it didn't matter. Touching the drop-off, I should say. And Van der Geest continues. It looks as if he's dropping back slightly from Galuzzi, but oh well. Galuzzi earned and deserved that position. And what we're seeing here is a very muddled up order trying to correct itself. Oh, and there's been a problem for Anstey! Anstey is about to get unlapped by one of the Porsches. Now I switched to him because... Now was there contact between the leaders? Because I switched to him when the gap between the two of them was less than 1/10 of a second, and I thought, whoa, he's going for a move here. But the first thing I saw was Anstey and Strife going slowly by the side of the road. So I wonder whether Anstey maybe launched an attack and fluffed it, or whether Lund collided with Anstey. Well, since I didn't see it happen, I won't speculate about it more. We don't know whose fault it was, or if they did even come together, but anyway, Paul Anstey has lost 3 seconds in that, and that's going to be hard to regain. So Lons has some breathing room. I apologise that I have no replays, and that I can't show you what just happened, but yeah, I'd love to know just as much as you would, but anyway, the race continues, with Lons 3.3 seconds ahead of Anstey. So, we are 23 minutes into the race almost, and the order is Lons, Anstey, Muttram, Ergos, then Galuzzi, Van de Geest, Jones, Martikainen. Martikainen is fighting with Grukok over that 8th position, and look at Paul Bird right behind them as well. His name is Paul, right? Oh, it's James. Don't know where I got Paul from, my apologies. Then it's Vasilis Doumanas fighting with Johnson. Mark Johnson, sorry, just had to check to make sure I wasn't getting his name wrong too. That's over 11th place. Drake and Morris are fighting over 13th. Then it's Lackinen, sorry. Upham and Germanas, and I think Germanas has had an incident. Oh, sorry, not Germanas, Jorgensen. Where did I get the name Germanas from? Oh, Doumanas. My apologies, Jorgensen. Okay, but anyway, he's now running plumb last, so I think he's maybe had a little incident somewhere. Ignore the yellow flags on the top left-hand side of the screen, or the yellow timer rather. It turned yellow on the opening lap with that incident, and I think the incident was just so big that it's never. And Anstey's gone off again. Anstey spun. Now, does he maintain his second place? No, there goes Muttram. Muttram, and that's at the same corner. That's the same corner where he went off a lap ago. So maybe Anstey's just having real troubles with that corner all of a sudden. I don't know what happened there, but Anstey, well, he's still on the podium, but he's now running 3rd rather than 2nd. Bird's now past Grukok for 9th as well. But a change in the top 3. It's now Lons from Muttram from Anstey. And yeah, that corner appears to be a real problem spot for Anstey these last couple of laps. Let's hope he can make it through safely this next time around. But they're taking a look at Martikainen, that's for 8th place. Not sure if this is going to be Martikainen's best result of the season so far. I think it might be. He's had a real torrid season in terms of results. But looking good for him so far today. Up the hill they head. This is my favourite section of the course. Mainly because you never see hedgerows used as barriers. To be honest, hedgerows sound like quite good barriers for cars that aren't open top. Quite energy absorbent and gentle. Oh, as Martikainen locks up, and is he going into the wall? I think he touched the wall. But also he touched the wall in avoidance, and somehow they've managed to stay in the same positions. Goodness me, wasn't expecting that. Johnson now passing Doumanas as well for 11th place. And they're getting pretty close to Bill Grukok too. And Anstey's had another problem. And has he got damage or something? Is Galuzzi there bounced off the back? Well, that wasn't Galuzzi, that was Upham who was a lap down. But does Anstey have damage or something? Because he's just had 3 spins in the space of less than 3 laps. I'm not sure if he has damage. He just seems to be a little bit absent-minded at the minute. Johnson, oh, and Doumanas has gone off. And that's at the Nordkar. That's a interesting place to go off. Don't think I've seen that before. But oh well, recovers in 12th place. But as I was saying, Paul Anstey, who was running 2nd just a couple of laps ago, challenging for the lead, is now a long way behind the leader after spin after spin after spin. Bird now passing Martikainen. Whoa, they're side by side as I switch to them, and Bird goes, oh, he cuts the corner to avoid Martikainen there. And Martikainen again keeps the place. This is great defence. Oh, I take it back. Now Bird's going to go for it again. Not quite. Dipping wheels into the grass at every corner to try to just unsettle Martikainen. It appears to be working. Onto the straight. This is where the Shelby should have the legs. Well, I'm surprised actually. The Nissan held up pretty well there in a straight line. Now, am I using the right cameras? Because Tim Muttram made a very nice camera pack that that I can use. Not sure if this is the one, or whether it was the one I was just using, but it's one of the two anyway. Thank you very much to Tim Muttram for your help. Here's the difference between the two. Now who was that? I think that was Johnson running a little bit, yeah, a little bit over the grass, spinning up the rear wheels as he did so. What an eventful race this has been so far. It's felt like a full race, to be honest. Hasn't felt like, wow, we're not even half the way through. This is brilliant. Not one of those races which is defined by close battling or tension, and it's not a championship decider, but, or not in the strict sense, I suppose, but it has been absolute carnage, and you can't say that's boring. Poor Lansty over the drop-off, past the Sudschleife. And that last lap was much cleaner, and he has started to gain back time on Jos Ogos. So we might be about to see a Shelby versus Shelby battle, just as long as Anstie can keep his cool on this lap. I was wondering whether it was maybe the tyres that were going off. But these cars' tyres, they don't tend to go off. You do see pit stops sometimes, and I'm expecting pit stops taking place soon, but you don't normally change tyres. It's usually for fuel. So, are we about to get pit stop stages taking place? I would say probably yes. I've questioned it at previous rounds, and then it's always happened, so I'd be surprised if it didn't happen again today. Pit stops aren't mandatory, and some cars can do the full race without stopping. Notably the Porsche 906, sorry. As James Bird passes, oh, and that's because Martikainen's off, and he's just rubbed along the wall there. And now Bill Garukok might have a go at getting into 9th place. Anstie now within a second of Ogos for the first time since his most recent spin. Garukok all over the back of Martikainen as they go up the hill. The Skyline and the BMW, fairly similar looking cars, at least from the side and the back. And in terms of their size as well, I think the BMW is slightly quicker as they lap. I think that's Jurgensen. And now Bird gets Johnson into the corner. Oh, gets Jones, sorry, into the corner. Yes, he does. So Bird up into 7th place now, doing a great job so far this race. This has got to be the best I've seen probably both Bird and Jones drive so far. Not that I've known them for long, but anyway. Anstie now within half a second of Jos Ogos. I'm sorry I switched away then, it looked as if someone was going wide. I think they've just about kept it under control. Garukok all over the back of Martikainen. Let's have a look at Anstie versus Ogos, because I'm pretty sure that a move might be about to come here. Anstie is 1.5 seconds a lap faster than Ogos, at least that last time around. So I think a move is imminent. Through turn 1 past what I call the drop-off. And up towards Brankenkopf, or Brankenkopf, because there's no second N. And that is a wonderful sound. It's almost dreamlike. I remember at Donington Park, around 3 of the series, I almost fell asleep because the engine sounded so nice. And you could hear that in my commentary. I think I started sleep talking midway through or something like that, while still technically awake. But anyway, first pit stop, Kimi Martikainen. And Dumanas, actually no, I'm not sure why his timer disappeared there, but anyway. Kimi Martikainen in the pits. and I presume that is scheduled. All these drivers being relatively late to stop. Normally you'd expect at least some people to come in around the halfway mark. Makes you wonder whether some drivers might go the full way without stopping. John Van der Geest was saying that it's possible in the Ferrari, but only if you do heavy fuel saving. So maybe they've been doing heavy fuel saving. Although Galuzzi and Van der Geest, they are 5th and 6th in the Ferrari, so that doesn't really look like fuel saving to me, but we'll see. Past the cameras, through the hedges. Not literally through the hedges, luckily. I was going to say earlier, as I was starting to say, hedges do make for pretty good barriers with closed roof cars. But of course, the main problem is if you have an open top car and you end up getting like scratches or whatever. Not sure if I did finish saying that earlier. I might have done. Paul Anstey now going for the move up the inside, and the next corner is a left-hander, so that will be Anstey's advantage. Ogos tries to cut back underneath him, goes over the grass. Now we have a banked right-hander, and I think Anstey's got it. Yes, he has. So Anstey back into the podium scoring places after his 3 spins. And now his mission will be to hold it for the remainder of the race. They start again, no pitting, so... Oh, and Muttram is in, so Tim Muttram pits from 2nd place. And yeah, I do believe that means that most, if not all of these drivers will be making pit stops. Muttram now exits the pits. So Anstey up to 2nd for the time being, Ogos up to 3rd. But that will likely change because those drivers will likely also have to make their stops. Let's just switch back to these two quickly to make sure that Ogos doesn't go back through. Because he doesn't appear to want to let Anstey go. At least not easily. Apparently we just lost Klaus Jorgensen from the race. That's a shame. He becomes our 3rd retirement. Whoa, it's Kimi Martikainen does a big 360 or 720 spin. Not sure, didn't see the start of it, but not sure quite how that happened. Good recovery though. Running in 14th position now. He's been passed by Drake and Morris in that one. I'm going to have a look at the delayed YouTube stream to watch that again, see how it happened. Well, not how it happened. Dunno, we just cut to him and he was spinning around, although it was on a straight, so I wonder if either he'd lost control out of the previous corner or whether he'd maybe he'd made contact with someone. I don't know, but anyway, Sid Drake also in the pits now, and I wouldn't be surprised if both of these Shelbys come in together on this next lap. Anstey versus Ogos. 7/10 of a second in it at this point in time. And Ogos runs wide and touches the barrier. And that's going to allow Anstey to accelerate away. Now I don't think Ogos will have damage from that, but he would have lost quite a bit of time. So that could be that battle over for the time being, but do they come in for a stop? Just a couple more corners until we find that one out. Just been asked by one of my friends, what is this track LMAO? This is the Nurburgring Sudschleife. It, of course, was built when the Nordschleife was built. And they used to run these circuits as a full combined layer up until 1937, until it was determined that that was too dangerous. They never ran it again after the war. However, races on the Sudschleife did continue until the very early 80s, when the circuit was demolished to make way for the brand new, as it was then, Grand Prix circuit that Formula One ended up racing at many times in the 90s, 2000s, and even early 2010s as well. Galuzzi and Muttram now both pit there side by side in their pit boxes. Look at that. Not pit boxes, sorry, but in the pit lane. Muttram gets out. Wait, that was the second Tim Muttram pit stop. Now, I don't know why that was. Maybe he got a penalty for speeding in the pits or something along those lines. Yeah, I thought that looked weird. Muttram was in the pits for the second time, so that might cost him, might cost him more time. Now, does that mean that Anstey will maybe jump him for second? It all depends on how much time he lost. Hopefully he slowed it down enough not to pick up another speeding penalty. I'm not sure if that's what it was. Because I thought that back in those days they didn't have a pit lane speed limit, so... But I presume this game's probably added one. I don't know. I hope we'll find out later, but sadly I won't be able to give you the cause on this stream. Probably not, anyway. Matt Cannon and Morris are fighting over P12. However, closest fight in the top 10 is definitely Bird versus Galuzzi, because that's now less than 0.3 of a second. Now Galuzzi pitted that last time around. Bird has not yet stopped, so this... I'm not sure this is a representative fight. I don't think it is. But I might start to question it if we go past 20 minutes and still they haven't pitted. Andrew Williams says it's not possible to speed in pit in Assetto Corsa. Okay, thanks for that, Andrew. Any ideas as to why? Any ideas as to why Muttram may have come in for the second time? Davide Sherishi, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, joins us in the YouTube chat as well, saying Galuzzi on the rocks. Come on, Doug. Yeah, Galuzzi has been having a strong race so far, running in 6th place. Laurent Lons is now in from the lead. Now does he exit in the lead too? Is that Anstey coming through? He's on the pit straight, and Anstey goes flying through, so Anstey takes the lead. But remember, he hasn't yet stopped. We've had an off for Glyn Jones, avoided by Dimanas. And Jones, who was running in the top 10, drops outside of the top 10. That's a shame for him. I was complimenting him earlier on how this is the best I've seen him drive, and I think it was up until that point. Jos Ogos in the pits too now. Now surely Anstey will stop this lap. He leads the race, and he'll enjoy his movement in the sun, but I don't think that Shelby, which is quite a fuel-guzzling car, can make it the full way without stopping. However, we are now in the final 20 minutes of the race, so we'll see. Let's keep an eye on Anstey. He'll have to be, if he is coming into the pits this lap, he'll have to be absolutely flying around if he wants to, first of all, stay ahead of Ergos, and secondly, possibly jump Muttram. In fact, has Ergos jumped Muttram? Yes, he has! Look at that! Ergos is ahead of Tim Muttram. I didn't even think that was a possibility there, as Johnson pits. But yeah, Jos Ogos. And that means that Paul Anstey is almost guaranteed to jump Muttram as well. Unless maybe he puts on fresh tyres or something. But anyway, that's because of Muttram's double stop, which we still don't know what it was for. Maybe he forgot to refuel in the first stop? This is just speculation, but anyway. So, Ogos could genuinely still be on for a podium here. And Anstey, even more so, could be on for second. Of course, I should keep reminding you there's no guarantee that all of these drivers will make a pit stop. It's not mandatory. But it is pretty much mandatory unless you're in a Porsche 906 or maybe a Ferrari 365 GTB. Bird now chasing Galuzzi, running slightly off. That's a battle that's been going on for a while. Oh, as I think that was Upham again. Tags the wall behind them. Should be okay though. Final few corners of the lap for Anstey. Let's see if he does pit. All of his rivals have done, and that doesn't look like the pit lane. So either Anstey knows something that we don't, or he's going very, very late. This is tense here. So Anstey leads by 3 seconds ahead of Laurent Lons. Then it's Jos Ergos, Tim Muttram, John van der Geest, Lorenzo Galuzzi. What's his name again? James Bird, that's the one. I keep going to say Paul. I don't know why I think his name's Paul. And he's fighting with Lorenzo Galuzzi still, although dropping back a little bit in the last sector. Bill Grukok is 8th, then it's Vasilis Doumanas, Glenn Jones, Mark Johnson, Kimi Martikainen, Tudor Morris, then Jari Lakkinen. Don't know why I forgot his name, it just rolls off the tongue. It's a nice one to say, is Jari Lakkinen. And then we have Sid Drake and Paul Upham, and of course our 3 retirements are Klaus Jorgensen, Phil Brown and Davide Ricciardi. Brown and Ricciardi were fighting for the top few positions in the championship. Not P1, but he was up there. And now, as Bill Grukok pits, and now it looks to me as if Paul Anstey will jump up to 4th in the championship, and Laurent Lons will very much wrap up 2nd. This is the final round of the championship, so there's no more opportunities for those drivers to improve or to get their positions back. It's a relatively long championship for SimRacingOnline. We tend to host 6-round leagues, although this is a rare 7-round league. Although there have been longer SimRacingOnline championships in the past. Bird now back within a second or half a second of Galuzzi. So still not over yet. I keep switching back to Anstey because I keep expecting to see him in the pits, but he's still out there. And we're almost 3/4 of the way through the race. Up the hill. And Galuzzi and Bird have now caught Van der Geest. So it's turning into a 3-way fight for 5th place. Now remember, Bird has not yet stopped, and I'm not sure if Van der Geest has either. I'm a little bit confused by that, because I remember that Van der Geest and Galuzzi were fighting, as Bird goes a bit through the hedges. But if that was the case, as Anstey finally stops, I knew he had to stop. Oh, and he's jumped, he's missed his box as well. He had to reverse back into his box there in order to be serviced. That might cost him a second or two. Now, will he get back out ahead of Jos Ergos? I think he will. Jos is nowhere in sight, so Lons goes back to the lead of the race. Anstey is 2nd, and Ergos just starts to pit straight now, so Tim Muttram oh, and look at the lap times. Muttram was 3 seconds faster than Ergos on that last lap. He's on a recovery drive, and this is going to be the 2nd time this race that he's passed Ergos, if he can pull it off. 14 minutes of this race remaining. Over the crest, Muttram gets slightly sideways. Down the hill. And towards the bottom part of the circuit, if you look at it on the map, the most southerly part. Galuzzi and Van der Geest are side by side. There's contact! And do they all keep control? Ergos goes over the crest. Goes over the drop-off. And just about keeps control. I thought Ergos was going to lose it there as he went over the drop-off. There was slight wheel-to-wheel contact between Van der Geest and Galuzzi. And somehow they all made it through. So 2 significant fights in this field at the minute. Ergos versus Muttram, and then Van der Geest versus Galuzzi and Bird. Bird still yet to stop. Jones is now in the pits in the Porsche. Slowing it right down. And surely something is going to change in these first couple of positions, first few positions. Laurent Lons now has a huge lead, 22.309. That's the biggest lead we've seen all day. And this is going to look like a dominant victory for Laurent Lons, but I don't think it'll tell the full story. Where did Lons qualify? Was it second? I'll have a look back at the qualifying order just quickly. It was actually third. Would have been nice to see what Phil Brown could do if he... Oh, as Tim Muttram takes a look at Jos Ogos. But as I was going to say, would have been nice to see what Phil Brown could do if he wasn't involved in that incident in the first couple of corners. Of course, we don't know that he didn't cause it, because we don't know actually who caused it or what caused it, but anyway. All I know is I switched to it and there were cars piled everywhere. And if you haven't seen that, please wait until the end of the race and then go back and watch the first lap. It was crazy! Up towards the final few corners of the lap. I'm surprised that Muttram hasn't got past Ogos just yet. Ogos doing a good job of holding him off. And of course, I don't mean any disrespect to Ogos by saying that. It's just that Tim Muttram was 3 seconds faster than him on the last time around, and is our confirmed champion, so we know he's fast. Ogos' last lap was faster than Muttram, but that's because Muttram just can't get past him here. Maybe he's just biding his time, making sure that nothing goes wrong. Still Van der Gies, Galuzzi and Bird fighting behind them as well, still in that same order. As we approach the final stages of the race now. So, Muttram, he'd be very disappointed if he wasn't third place in the race where he technically wins the championship. Of course, realistically, it was won before the race started. Let's have a look at... oh! Big crash for Galuzzi. Galuzzi's been in the wall. Now, the reason I switched back to that was firstly because Andrew Williams suggested I should switch back to Galuzzi, but secondly, I noticed that the times between Van der Gies, Galuzzi and Bird dramatically increased, and I'm not sure why that was. So my apologies for missing that. And of course then he went into the bridge. And my apologies for missing the start of that too. It's just I really didn't want to miss anything with Ogos and Muttram. Luckily, Galuzzi appears to have got away with very minimal damage somehow. But yeah, sorry that I missed all of that. But thanks for your suggestion anyway. Final 10 minutes of the race now. And the main and only battle at the minute that we have on the track is Ogos versus Muttram for third place. I'm also wondering, actually no, I was wondering if Galuzzi could maybe catch Bird up again, but 5.7 seconds is a bit of a tough ask unless something goes very wrong for Bird. And I really think that Muttram, he doesn't appear to be getting frustrated. I've always said Muttram, he very much drives with his head. He's like the Professor Alain Prost. And looks if he's just biding his time, trying not to get frustrated. And I'm sure that an opportunity will arise for him, and when it does, he will go for it. Maybe this time. Going for a switchback maybe? Difficult to do on a bank. Final corner of this lap. Just a few more laps to go for Tim Muttram. In the slipstream. Is he close enough? He goes to the right hand side. And up into a podium maybe. Not sure. No, Ogos holds him off. Good defense from Ogos again. Brake late enough. Got over the grass though. Almost hit the bridge. Just avoided doing a Galuzzi. Sorry, that was a bit mean of Galuzzi there, or mean to Galuzzi. And as they pass the old marshal's shed, more of a hut really, Muttram is still less than 0.3 of a second behind Ogos. He's just a quarter of a second back at times. Try counting a quarter of a second. I bet you can't. Over the crest of the hill. There's a lot of crests on this track. I know that saying the crest isn't very helpful. It's difficult to describe it any other way sometimes, but anyway. This, of course, one of the biggest and first purpose-built racetracks ever made. Didn't really look like a racetrack at all. It looked more like a classic road course, but it was designed primarily to be a race course. Nowadays, of course, the Nordschleife still remains a public toll road officially, until they close it off for a race weekend, and then it's a racetrack. But when it's open in general, and there's not a race going on there or an official track day, it's simply a public toll road that people can go around. No speed limit at the Nurburgring, of course, so people do still race legally, even when there's no race going on there. One of the most dangerous things you can do as a car enthusiast, but also one of the most thrilling, and it's seen as a pilgrimage for some racing fans. Now look at Muttram to the inside of Ogos. We knew it was going to happen eventually. Does he keep it under control? He goes very high on the banking, and he does keep it under control. Great move from Muttram to pass Jos Ogos and get back up into the podium positions, and that is the kind of move that made him a champion. Oh, Bill Grewcock stopped. Oh, and that's going to be close with well, I must say Morris just drove into him there. Didn't really have anywhere to go, but could have slowed down. Grewcock bounces off the wall trying to recover. Now he was in the top 10, drops out of the top 10, meaning we now have a fight for 10th position between Martikainen and Jones. Jones recovering from a couple of incidents earlier on, but then again so is Martikainen. Not sure what happened to Grewcock there, not sure that we'll find out, but anyway. 5 minutes to go before the checkered flag flies. Of course the drivers will be allowed to finish the lap they're on at the time. But anyway. Down the straight go Martikainen and Jones. And an incident for Bird. And he's hit the bridge now. That's just where Galuzzi had an incident a few laps ago. And he's dropped behind Galuzzi and all of that. And does he have damage? He's just... Whoops. Wrong button. My apologies. He's just hit the wall again. Oh, that sorted out the yellows at least. Let's have a look on board with Bird. I'm not sure. The steering looks okay. Maybe hanging a little bit to the left, but it's barely noticeable. Dips wheels into the grass and into the ditch. So, with just 4 minutes remaining, Lon still has a big lead ahead of Anstey and Muttram, and those are the drivers who are looking to be in podium contention. We do still have a fight going on for 10th place though. That seems a little bit less certain, as Laurent Lon sets the fastest lap of the race in the late stages, 2:45.189. That is pretty spectacular. Lons is a driver who has had a bit of bad luck so far this year. I think a lot of other series he'd have won every race in. It's just he's gone up against such tough opponents this year, but he's still been so competitive and so consistent, and that's why he's going to wrap up second in the championship today. Is this going to be Lon's first GP4WC victory? I think it might be, you know. Yeah, this is going to be Lon's first GP4WC victory. That's hard to believe. He's done so many championships in the past, and he's been a championship contender in several. He came second in the Alfa Romeo 33 Stradale competition. Oh, as Jones has an incident. Campionato. He came second in the ACC GT3 Sprint Series 2. He came second in the GPL McLaren M2B Challenge. And he came third in the F1 Classic 1967 Series. Series 1, that was. And he was also fourth in RSS GT1 Season 1 as well. So, really, it's crazy to think that he hasn't had a win yet. He's had so many podiums. Even a couple of poles, if we look back to F1 Classic 1967. Series 1. He's done quite a few races. He's done 29. This is his 30th race with SimRacingOnline. And finally, it looks to all be coming good for him. And I think he's going to have one lap to go after the lap that he's on. Let's actually, I'll save watching him until the last lap, since we haven't actually we haven't watched him that much today. So let's ride on board with the driver. Let's ride on board with Muttram for a bit, maybe, our champion, and then I'll do the last lap on board with Luntz so we can enjoy it. Tim Muttram, of course, wrapped up the Drivers' Championship just by starting this race. That's all he needed to do, providing fewer than 23 drivers turned up. And indeed, we only had 19 starters, meaning that Tim Muttram won the championship as soon as he started the race. Making this technically a championship decider, but not really. So, with less than a minute to go, Laurent Luntz has begun the final lap of the race. He has been so good today. He's going to win it by over 25 seconds. By the looks of it. I am calling it too early, of course. We have the whole of the duration of this lap to get through, and it's almost 3 minutes long. So Luntz still needs to maintain control, just make sure that he does what he's been doing for the whole of the rest of this race. He's been so clean. And after an incident on the opening lap involved Phil Brown, all he had to do was pass and hold off Anstey, which he did so, and then get away and stay ahead. And he has done that superbly well. Also the fight for 10th appears to be picking up again between Martikainen and Jones, and I'll switch to that if it gets too exciting. Lackinen also in the pits. But for the time being, enjoy this onboard with Laurent Luntz and his De Tomaso Pantera. It's the last lap of the series, and the last chance that we will get to watch on board a winner. Galuzzi now within 0.8 of a second of Van der Geest as well. Seems to be getting pretty close to Van der Geest on this last lap. Might have a look at that in a bit. But we have to keep... Actually, I think it's getting a bit too close. Let's... don't worry, I'm not going to miss Luntz crossing the line, but let's have a look at Galuzzi versus Van der Geest just quickly, as they fight over 5th place. Both Ferrari drivers both want to pick up the last 5th place of the season. That would be a nice way to end the year, especially for Van der Geest. His average finishing position is it's lower than 10th, so he'd be very happy with that. Now let's switch back to Laurent Luntz, because he has just a couple of corners to go through the banking. Final corner coming up for Laurent Luntz, and this is going to be his first SRO victory, and he is a winner at last, 28 seconds ahead of Paul Anstey. Fantastically done. Galuzzi's just, well, he's side by side with Van der Geest. The two Ferraris are side by side up the hill. Van der Geest fends him off just. What a drive from Laurent Lons, absolutely dominant in the end. Well deserved. I have a feeling I said it was... No, never mind. Anstey is P2. And that is a fantastic result for Paul Anstey as well. Tim Muttram P3. Well done to the champion. Jos Ergos looks to be P4, but who will be P5? It's going to be so close between these two Ferraris. And Galuzzi takes a look to the outside line. That will be the outside for the next corner. He needs to get fully ahead, surely, if he's going to pull a move here. And they're still going to be side by side. I reckon Van der Geest has the advantage, but if Galuzzi can stay there, the next corner after that's a right-hander. And I think he might. And that is the move of the race for Galuzzi as Van der Geest runs wide. And absolutely brilliant. That was fair and square for Galuzzi on the final lap of the race. Well done to him. That's my move of the race, even though it happened after the leader had crossed the line. Galuzzi takes the lead at pretty much the last corner and comes fifth. Or sorry, takes fifth at the last corner. So Lons, Anstey, Muttram, Ergos, Galuzzi, Van der Geest, Bird are the top 7. Vasilis Dumanas is going to be P8. Nicely done for him. Mark Johnson. Is he out of fuel? I don't hear an engine note for Johnson. That's a bit worrying. And has the same thing happened to Martikainen? Because he's just lost a place to Jones. I think... Yeah, we got 2 cars out of fuel in the late stages here. Johnson is still coasting back. And Jones might get them both here. Let's see. Yeah, Jones is going to get them both. So Jones, who thought he was going to finish 11th, is he going to go through to 9th? Yes, he does. I wonder, did Johnson and Martikainen pit, or did they try to make the full race, and that's why they've run out? Through as well goes Morris. So Morris picks, wow, 2 Porsche 911 RSRs in the top 10 in the end. Johnson does cross the line in 11th. Now, will Martikainen finish? I think he will. Yes, he finishes 12th. And Bill Grukok will be 13th. Interesting to see 2 cars running out of fuel on the last lap. But that does give the Porsches a double top 10 finish. So, well done to Laurent Lons and to Tim Muttram and to Paul Anstey for the podium. Sorry, I said that in a weird order. But anyway, Lons was the winner, Anstey was second, and Tim Muttram was champion in 3rd position by virtue of just starting the race. Wonderful, wonderful series, the whole way through. I very much enjoyed it, and I hope that you all enjoyed it as much as I did as well. Thank you all for watching along and joining us in the YouTube chat if you did. And remember, if you want to get involved in our leagues, you can head over to simracingonline.co.uk and sign up for any series that you want to. So that's the lot. Thank you all for tuning in and supporting me over the course of this 7-race championship. More series will be coming up soon, more broadcasted series as well. Earlier today, I agreed to host some, or to broadcast some rounds of the multi-class TC Legends Championship. That's another classic touring car championship that will start in Thursday, July the 9th. And if that sounds appealing to you, then definitely sign up for that. The cars are, we've got 70s touring cars such as Alpha GTAs, Alpine 110s, etc., alongside 60s TCL cars such as Ford Phalons, Ford Mustangs, Hillman Imps, etc., etc. So again, if that sounds appealing to you, head over to the site and sign up. So anyway, that's the lot, and until next time, goodbye.